Do you ever think about how Mark Webber was kicking and punching everything in sight in Romain Grosjean's driver room after the 2012 Japanese Grand Prix? Because I do now after hearing Ayo Komatsu, Grosjean's race engineer at the time, speak about it on the High Performance podcast recently.
Mark Webber came after the race and then, came to Roman's room and, punching and kicking every single panels you can think of, and then stormed off. And then Roman crying on the floor.
This is also the race where Mark Webber calls Grosjean a first lap nutcase. But we have to go back to 2012 to really understand what was happening. This was Romain Grosjean's first full season in Formula One. It was in Suzuka. Sebastian Vettel and Mark Webber in their Red Bulls were P1 and P2, while Romain Grosjean was starting in P5. And when the lights go out, Grosjean was doing everything he possibly could to keep Sergio Perez in his Sauber behind him. But in doing so, he ends up running into the back of Mark Webber, making him spin around turn 2, and then he destroyed his own front wing in the process. Mark Webber ends up recovering to, I think, P9, and Romain Grosjean gets a 10-second stop-and-go penalty, but ends up DNFing the race 2 laps from the end. And in the aftermath, Mark Webber is incensed.
First lap nutcase again, Grosjean. Maybe he needs another holiday.
He is not happy, and he says so to the press and anybody who will listen. But you have to understand that Romain Grosjean, in those 15 races of 2012 so far, he had 7 lap 1 incidents and 1 lap 2 incidents. And there were a lot. I mean, in Australia, he clips Pastor Maldonado's car. In Malaysia, he and Michael Schumacher make contact. In Spain, he and Sergio Perez make contact. And I think Checo has a puncture from this. I forget what happened in Monaco, but something does. In Silverstone, he makes contact with Paul di Resta. And in Germany, he makes contact with Felipe Massa. And the big one everybody remembers is, of course, Belgium in Spa, where he first makes contact with Lewis Hamilton. And they go spinning and everyone's in the air. And it ends up being like a pile up basically, and I think within 20 seconds Romain Grosjean, Fernando Alonso, Lewis Hamilton, and Sergio Perez are all out of Spa, and everybody is pissed off at him, and the stewards give him a 1 race ban. He didn't get any penalties for the incidents leading up to Spa, and you could argue that many of them were racing incidents. Also, his path to Lotus is kind of funny because he wins Formula 3 Euro Series and then GP2 Asia Series while he is a assistant portfolio manager or something at a Swiss bank, okay? Then he becomes a test and reserve driver for Lotus, Renault at the time, and during the whole Crashgate situation when it comes out in 2009, he ends up taking Nelson Piquet Jr.'s seat. Then he leaves afterwards, and then he wins GP2 in 2011, and then in 2012 is when he gets the full-time seat, right? And so there's that going on, and he has a lot of natural speed. Like, he is quick. He had 2 podiums in 2012, and in 2013 he goes on to get, I think, 6, I believe. Webber says after 2013 where he's like, you know what, like, not to blow smoke up his ass, but he has really made a big step from last year.